Yeah, I was going to talk about the Bulls here, but so there's a movie called The King's Speech. You may have heard of it in 2010, and I don't know if you're comfortable talking about this or not, but you had when you were younger and even early in your career, you've had the stuttering thing.
Yes.
Where you've worked through that. You made grade is phenomenal. You know where the trouble areas are.
Yeah.
You know how to work around that. Was there ever a time, like during the press conferences for Frankie Edgar fights and things like that, you're on the podium. All of this media is there, you know, grilling you, asking all these questions. And is there ever a time where you're like, man, you know, I feel like I might stutter here. I might stutter here. How do you? Is it ever hard for you when you're in the public like that?
Yeah. I mean, it's always hard because you're always kind of like going through it, just kind of in your head, and you know, you don't want to show weakness to a point, I guess, you know, and that's kind of how I always was, you know, sports and just in general, like, don't show weakness, don't show, and you feel like it is kind of that, but it's really not. It's just everybody has to deal with stuff, and you know, I've grown up, you know, I had a little bit of the kind of stutter. And
was that really hard on you when you were young? You hear it.
I mean, it really wasn't hard. It was just more annoying, like more annoying. Nobody ever picked on me or like. It was just always, you know, and I was the type of guy that, like, we would move from, you know, a state to state to state, and you're meeting new people, and you know, you got the stutter, and it's just kind of. It
helps to be a guy that can handle his business, I guess, and then be able to.
Yeah, I guess so. But you know, I would move on my own, and I just tried to deal with it the best, you know, I could, and.
Did you see the movie, by the way? Did you see it? You did.
Yeah.
What did you think? What did you think? I mean, I think it's Academy Award winner. Colin Firth won, I think, a Golden Globe for that. What did you think of the movie? I mean, what were you feeling during the movie? Did you empathize with the king? Did you? Yeah.
No, I kind of understand what he's gone through, of course, and like, you know, like even me, like he feels as if the king is going to. Being a king, he's going to have all these responsibilities. Like that would even go through, I was like, man, if I do win the championship, I'm going to have like all these speaking stuff, and you know, like I'm really going to have to address this, and you know, ultimately, I want to address it just because of me, you know, and you know, I got a little bit more time now to kind of work with a couple people, and you know.
So you have been able to work with like because you're really good.
Well, I really haven't.
Yeah.
At all. I mean, as a kid, you know, I kind of did, and then just being in sports, it's always been my identity. I didn't really care about my speech. It's just my identity.
But then when you're getting closer to a UFC title, then it started to creep in your head. You're like, all right.
A little. No, I mean, it was always there. I mean, don't get me wrong. It was always there, and it was always kind of tough to deal with, but you know, and there's a lot of times where it's worse, you know. And
how do you navigate that? Because you're really good at navigating that, you know, I guess. And I didn't see the movie, but in the movie there's probably some words and phrases that give him particular trouble, I guess, right?
And
that's
kind of how it is.
There might be certain areas, certain syllables or whatever, or vowels or sounds that give you more trouble. And
well, I've had about 36 years of practice. So
you just figured a lot of that yourself.
Yeah. So I'm gonna start to go to a guy, and we're gonna kind of start therapy, and it's not even therapy. It's kind of more speech coaching, and you know, it's just never been something that I want to put out there to like get publicity off of.
Yeah, I know you.
Get
like,
oh, feel bad for me.
I know. I know you.
Yeah.
I know.
So you know, if people bring it up, I'll talk about it. You know, it's all good. But
it just wasn't something you were not seeking attention.
And ultimately,
me as a former journalist, asked these things, and I just known you, and I remember I used to say to you, even around the Frankie Edgar fights, like, man, you know, if the press conference comes up, and just how do you navigate? You know, how do you navigate around if they're asking all these questions? And you know, you're like you said, you're a prideful guy.
And then a lot of times, you know, if you're switching up the words, and you know, you kind of sound pretty